During the course of 2013 in Derry, Londonderry, a unique relationship developed between two organisations that might traditionally have been regarded as polar opposites. One was Angularis, based here in the Culterland, whose purpose is the promotion of Irish language and culture, and the other was the Londonderry Bands Forum, who are the most visible representatives of the local Protestant Unionist and Loyalist community. These two groups are normally viewed, in terms of the Northern Ireland experience, as the very antithesis of each other. However, with the All-Ireland Fleadh coming north of the border for the first time ever, music was used as common ground to facilitate communication and build relationships between these two groups and the communities they represent.
The Fleadh is a huge part of the City of Culture this year. A big deal for the town, and it's important that it's inclusive of all communities, no matter where they're from. We've been talking to the Londonderry Bands Forum, and they're coming along to the next Fleadh Executive Committee meeting. It's important that they have an understanding of what it's about, that they are very welcome to get involved in any way that they want to.
And this is a fabulous opportunity for us to get together on the same soil and go out there and do our own stuff and appreciate one another and show respect for one another.
Well, sin an cúig a crinne, agus an céad crinne Jean crinne seo nacht, Jean Majan dul hon cin. Agus na daine hanig an seo ón na grúpi banny ceol. Tá sé roiad an tása ar na gra, díl siúri a bhfuil muid a bulu leo. Agus tá sé an Samuel, ghfuil si sásta hacht an seo. Is dúil an dúine agus cin si gur dúil an doibhsan cumáithe.
I suppose in our community it applies. One of these things has been, it's almost like a lot of people think that Sahun should be avoided and protested against or whatever. But I mean, we've begun to understand it's about music, and our bands are about music.
I'm a member of the Pride Orange and Blue Old Boys New Buildings. At the start I was negative about it, not understanding, not having a real understanding what it was about, but since having a few positive chats with other people, I'm thinking this is a way forward, and I can see nothing but positivity coming out of this for the Fleadh plus ourselves.
You won't get these type of bands anywhere else in the world but Ireland, and the example would be a band like the Churchill. You know, it was established in 1835, so it was going 100 years when this was all Ireland. And I suppose it's only in the last 80 or 90 years, whatever it is, that it's actually become a part of a British marching band culture rather than an Irish one. So for ourselves, it's important for us to reconnect as well with our culture. It is that important in our lives, and I don't think people actually understand that. We've actually never bothered to tell it. Our attitude was, we've seen the TV saying, you've seen the band, you've seen rioting in the Bogside. We don't care. But we've realised, we really should do care, because what we are doing is a really positive thing. We've changed that attitude from ignoring to actually now going and telling our story. It's a turnaround for a lot of the people in the band, to be quite honest.
Mas féidir linn bulu le céile mar ceoltarí. Is dóthaigh go dtí linn codhwaí den naimhdeas agus an stair a bhrisú síos. So, tá chuir tusla rud, is cod den leá ggóil muid a géirí cinneol Sheahan a arbert there in da heave agus seo cod an obair sin,
Derry is now a city of many cultures, and I want to acknowledge the support we've had from all in bringing Fleadh Ceol na hÉireann to Derry. I want to pay tribute in particular to the Protestant Unionist community, who have supported wholeheartedly a process of engagement which ensures that all of our cultures will be celebrated in an inclusive and positive way.
The Londonderry Bands Forum have been at the forefront of this engagement with the Fleadh, but not without stirring a degree of controversy within their own community. However, the level of positive publicity surrounding the engagement significantly eased tensions prior to the Fleadh's commencement. The focus of the dialogue between the two groupings has been on what they have in common, which is music, and that has taken precedence over religion and politics.
And it's very interesting that when you have that dialogue, and when you get below the initial strangeness, you find how much we have in common.
The Londonderry Bands Forum became involved in the Fleadh because the bands within the city see their tradition in music, and their tradition is a tradition that might not have been captured otherwise if they hadn't have been involved. It's still traditional music to them. It's not just about parading and marching, it's about performing and being musicians. And they are very open to engaging with whoever wants to include them in what's happening. Although it is a big step for them as well, for them to move forward, and as far as good relations is concerned, it's very significant for them. And there's a lot of crossover in the traditions that aren't highlighted, and the bands are very, very aware of that musical crossover, so it was just about really embracing that.
It's fantastic to be in Culturland tonight for the Pride play. Obviously a play about a flute band from the new buildings area of Derry, and a great opportunity for people to get an insight into what makes bandsmen and their families tick.
We're doing it because it's part of our culture. It's in the blood.
When it's in the blood, you just can't fight it.
The Pride is a play by Jonathan Burgess which offers an insight into the life of a loyalist flute band, although many of the sentiments expressed in the play could equally apply to the world of Irish traditional music. The production has been used as a backdrop to help facilitate workshops and other cross-community events.
The reason that I wrote the play was basically to represent a voice which I don't think is represented particularly well. There are 30,000 active bandsmen, there are thousands of people who travel about supporting them across the countryside at various parades and what have you, and that's a big movement within Northern Ireland. And it doesn't have a voice. They make a big noise, but they don't have a voice. And what I wanted to do was basically research a band and ask them if they would let me write a play about them. And they were very brave to do that, because kind of mainstream arts and flute bands tend not to coalesce particularly much. And basically what I wanted to do was tell their story, because these guys aren't aggressive, although big numbers of men walking in uniforms in rank down the street can appear that way sometimes, and that's not how they are. And the Fla picked up the phone and said, can we have this? The Fla is all about traditional music, and this is a very big movement of traditional music in Northern Ireland, so that's a big deal. And can we have the play? Yes. And I think there's other flute bands taking part in other elements of the week's activities, so that just seemed to be a natural progression.
Use my way. Thanks God for that. The sooner they get the pipes fixed in that community centre, the happier I'll be.
I think the play and the reception they've received and the amount of people who turned out is a reflection of the positivity. People are willing and people are keen to come and engage and get to know one another and to share different aspects of their culture, and it's great to see. The attendance is amazing. It's just really good, a very successful night, and I think everybody's really enjoying the play and the performance.
The approach of inclusivity, which is hugely important in everything that we do, is something that we're all very passionate about, and I think that this city is, I suppose, leading the way as an example to many others about the need for all of us to work together, because I've consistently said that if we are divided, we are very weak, but if we are united, we are very strong. And the proof of that is the way in which the people of the city came together to won this tremendous opportunity of having the Year of City of Culture, and came together again to make the argument for the Fla to come to the city. And it's something that, you know, to be marvelled at. And I think here tonight we have people here from every part of the city, and it's great to see at the play a huge number of people from the unionist part of the city sitting very comfortably alongside the rest of us. It's tremendous.
The outcome of the engagement with the Protestant Unionist and Loyalist community was demonstrated in a number of ways during the Fla. One of these was the inclusion of several local flute bands performing on the gig rigs, both in Everington Square in the Waterside and in Victoria Market on the city side. The focus was on music, but inevitably the performance of that music involved the showcasing not only of cultural connections, but also cultural differences. The kind of differences that would usually lead to contention and confrontation. There is a strong visual element in the tradition of marching bands, so symbols and uniforms were much on display. but these were juxtaposed with the trappings of what could be seen as another's cultural celebration. But with the emphasis on celebrating excellence of performance, these contentious symbols became secondary to the showcasing of musical talent.
But if you were to ask me, what will the highlight and the greatest memory of Flackyole for me, it will be what's happening here. Because at the end of the day, we're talking about the generosity of spirit. We're talking about decent humanity. We're talking about a common cause in music. But seriously, I feel so good, so excited, so enthusiastic here this evening. And I thank the band for making it possible, and we'll now make the presentation, and who knows, in years to come, we may look back and say, that was a memory of a lifetime.
A performance by the PSNI's Pipes and Drums Band to a large crowd in the Guildhall Square marked the first occasion ever that a police band from Northern Ireland played at an All-Ireland FLA. This was a highly significant event and was indicative of the general interaction between uniformed PSNI personnel and FLA visitors and local residents.
Absolutely delighted that I have discovered here that the different traditions are coalescing and working together without losing their own identity or losing their own autonomy. If you believe you can do something and have enough confidence yourself to do it, if you believe that you can respect somebody who doesn't hold your opinion, if you believe that, that is the milestone that will have been erected here in Derry.
I also want to say that the proudest aspect, for me anyway, of this FLA, apart from all of the other great things that happened, was the participation in this FLA of representatives from the unionist community. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. The bands turned up, they were not afraid, they understood that they were very welcome, they understood the nature of the city, of how we want to be inclusive, how we want to move forward, how we want to see the Orange Order parade in this city, how we want to see the Apprentice Boys parade in this city, how we show them respect for their parades as they showed respect for Flackyole Naheran by participating in it.
The success of the FLA in terms of cross-community engagement has been recognised across Ireland and has been cited as an example of good practice for other communities in Northern Ireland. From the outset, those involved with bringing the FLA to the city wanted it to be genuinely inclusive, and much of what was achieved in that regard was down to the nature of the exchange between the participants. The human element of the experience was vitally important, and once trust was established through talking and listening to each other, music was recognised as the common denominator, the driving force that prompted each side to seek out familiar strands in the other's culture that ultimately connected them.
To be honest, this is really the groundwork. This is the beginning of a process, and it is great to see, but I hope that there will be a legacy after the FLA, and that the work that we've done over the last few months will continue, and we will just continue to build on that. That's our hope.